I will first show you how to access your patterns on the So-So English website in order to download them for your own use. If you're accessing your Sulky pattern from the Sulky website, then it will look a bit different than this. To access your SSE patterns, simply navigate to sosoenglishfabrics.com and then My Account. You will need to log into your account with your email address and password, and then you will see your account page. Here on the left-hand side, you will see a My Patterns section that when you open, you will see all of the patterns that you have purchased. You will see one name for each pattern, and under each name, if you click it, you will see all of the files available for that pattern. If you click the pattern, you will see all of the files available. Most of you that are within the US will need to download the US letter version of the pattern. You will simply click on that, and that will begin the download for that pattern. You will also need the tutorial, which is the written steps for construction of your garment. So click on the tutorial, and that will download as well. For many of you, it will not automatically open here in Adobe, and I will show you the next step for downloading and accessing Adobe so that you can use your patterns with confidence and ease.
If you access your patterns from a mobile device, it may look a little different. On my phone, I have a little arrow in the top right-hand corner that when I click, it brings up options that include accessing my patterns.
So you have your patterns, you have your tutorial, you have the US letter version. This is what will print on 8.5 by 11-inch paper on your home printer. The other two versions that you see here, A4 is international and AO is large format printing. So you can ignore those for most of you. We will just be using US letter and the tutorial. Now I'm just going to open my browser and I am going to search for Adobe. Now there are a couple different versions of Adobe, and we want Adobe Acrobat Reader DC. Adobe Acrobat Reader DC. When you search that, it will take you to a list like this. And we will scroll down to Adobe Acrobat Reader DC installed for all versions. If you would just like to type this into your search bar to bring it up directly, this is the link that you will need to just directly download Adobe Acrobat Reader DC, which will take you to a page that looks like this. Now you can see two versions over here on the right, Adobe Acrobat Reader DC and the Pro version. We just want the regular version because that's the free version. But before you click on download, you can see here there are optional offers. I don't want any of this stuff on my computer. So I'm sure it's helpful. I don't really know what it is, and I don't want this to fill up my computer or to have pop-ups. So I'm unclicking all of these additional offer buttons here. And then I'm going to click Download Adobe Acrobat Reader DC. And it's just going to automatically start downloading it for me. Now I have a Windows computer, and so on my computer, once it's downloaded, I'll see a little pop-up at the bottom right here. So this is my download. If you have a Mac, it might look a little bit different, but if you've downloaded anything before, then you're probably familiar with where it pops up on your screen. So I simply have to click this, and it brings it up for me. It asks me if I want to install it. Do I want to allow this to make changes? And I do. So I click yes, and that's it. It actually says it's already installed because I already have it, but we're going to go ahead and run through that. So these are my patterns that I have. So once you go through that process, you will have Adobe Acrobat Reader DC on your computer and be able to open your patterns with it. Now, what if you try to open your pattern and it doesn't open in Adobe and you're not sure what to do? Well, Each of us has on our computer a file folder with all of our patterns or with all of our downloads in it. So you just simply need to, you can search here in your search bar for the pattern. You can go to My Files and find where the file is located on your computer. So you can see here I have some patterns. Now, let me make this bigger for you. If I place my cursor over one of my patterns and I right-click, you can right-click on your mouse or you can right-click on the touchpad on your computer, I will get a bar that allows options for me. And you can see here one of these options is Open With. When I go down and hover over Open With, there's Adobe Acrobat Reader because it's on my computer. So I can use it to open my pattern. So I'm going to click Adobe Acrobat Reader. I'm going to make it bigger. And this is what Adobe Acrobat Reader DC will look like on your computer when you open your pattern with it. This is a new pattern. It hasn't released yet, so you're seeing something secret here. So once you open this page, you have come far, and I'm really proud of you. So now we want to print. We want to print, and we want to print just the sizes that we want. We don't want to print all the pages. So I'm going to go over that with you for a bit, exactly how to print only the pages that you want. So we're going to open our tutorial. So I have the Sulky Perfect Tea tutorial here. So when you open your tutorial, it has lots of helpful information, and I do recommend that you read through all of the information in your tutorial carefully before you begin even printing your pattern, before you begin planning your project. You can see all of the different options, plan for your fabric choice, all of those things. But when you are ready for printing, which I know is where many of you are running into difficulty, I like to print page 3 so that I have the size chart here in front of me, and I'll show you that in a minute. I also like to print page 5. 5 has the US letter printing guide here with the pages that I'll need to print. You don't have to print these pages. I just find it easier when I am choosing my pages to print to have it in front of me. I like to have a physical copy in front of me. So I'm going to print pages 3 and 5. Right now I'm just going to click the little printer box up here. Now these are just tutorial pages, so it doesn't matter how you print. You don't need to set any kind of format. I'm going to print page 3, and then I'm going to do a comma and page 5. So those are going to print out for me. And then I'm going to meet you over at my table. We're going to take a closer look at how to use these two resources to choose the pages that you print, and then we will print our pages and assemble them together.
Now you can see that I have page 3 from the tutorial printed here. And I like to do this because many of us are not one size from head to toe. So we range in sizes. So simply measure your high bust, waist, high hip, and full hip, and circle all of those on the pattern. So let's say, for instance, we're small, medium, large, medium. Then you can decide how you want to grade between sizes. I will attach a resource for grading between sizes, as well as adding or removing length to your pattern. The pattern was graded for a height of 5'5", and if you are taller or shorter than 5'5", then you will want to add or subtract length. We add or subtract half of the discrepancy. So for instance, I am 5'9", so the discrepancy between the two is 4 inches. So I would add 2 inches in length to my pattern, and I will show you that in the video. So here we decide that we are going to grade a small high bust to a medium bust to a large, back to a medium. You know, I'm probably just going to do medium for high bust and just have my shoulders be have a little bit more ease. I'm going to do medium, grade out to a large for the waist, grade back into a medium for the hip. And that is how I would grade that size. So once you have decided what sizes that you measure into and how you would like, and what sizes you would like to print, you are ready to print. So here you can choose your version. So say you want to do the short sleeve t-shirt with the pocket. You'll need short sleeve, pocket, and you want to do the plain front.
So you'll need this, this, and all of these. And you can see why I like to have these in front of me when I'm sitting at my computer so that it's easier for me to type in these numbers. It really does save effort and paper to only be able to print the pages that you need. So I'm going to hop over to my computer. We're going to print pocket, short sleeves, and plain front, and then we are going to assemble those together. Yes, I'm going to search for it up here in my quick search. This is under my folders. I'm going to type sulky, and I can see right here, sulky US letter. I'm going to right click on that. Well, it's already open in Adobe. I can see that it has Adobe. You can right click on it and open it in Adobe. Once you have it open in Adobe, you can see over here on the left hand side of your page, you have these three little symbols like paper clips, stacks of paper. It's the stacks of paper that you want to click on. It looks like three papers stacked on top of each other. When you click on that, a menu will open up. These are all of the sizes available to you. Here to the left of each size in a little box is an eye. That's supposed to be an eye. If you click on the eye, it disappears. And that means that that size, 10x, will not print. So you will simply click to remove the eye on any size you do not wish to print. One important thing to remember is that this bottom word base always needs to have its eye turned on, because this is your 2-inch square, your assembly chart here. So simply click off all the sizes that you do not want to print. So if we're grading between a medium and a large, we want both of those sizes turned on. Medium and large. We're going to do medium hip or medium shoulder, graded out to a large waist, back into a medium hip is what we're going to do. So we want medium and large turned on. Once you have those and your base turned on, you will click the little printer icon here at the top. Okay, this is where we're going to set up our printer settings. This, in this little square, is where we will enter which pages we wish to print. We'll do that in just a second. Down here is where we will set up our printer settings. So we do not want fit, we do not want shrink, we want custom scale 100%. Now some printer settings may have an option that says do not scale to fit. You do want that one. You do not want it to scale to fit. You want it at 100%. You also want portrait, but mine is always set for auto and it just knows which direction. You can see if I turn it on landscape, it cuts off a portion over here in the print preview. So auto or portrait, and that's it. That's all you need to set. Now I always print page 1 first, just by itself, and then I measure the 2-inch square. Now I know that mine will measure, so I'm going to go ahead and print all of my pages, but I will measure that square with you, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. So I've got my sheet in front of me with my pages that I want to print. I want the pocket, which is 42, and then I add a comma. I want the short sleeves, which is 35, and 43 through 45, so you do add that little dash. 43 through 45. And then the plain front, 1 through 4, comma, 11 through 12, and so on. And once you have all of your pages inputted, then you click print. Again, only print page 1 at first. Test it, make sure it measures 2 inches. When and if it does measure exactly 2 inches, always measure it with a rigid ruler, because tape measures can stretch out, so you want it to be a hard ruling or hard measuring device. Print all of your pages, and then meet me at the table and we will begin assembling those.
Always begin by printing the first page and measuring the 2-inch square to ensure that it does measure 2 inches. Use a rigid measuring device, and if your 2-inch square is slightly larger or smaller than 2 inches, double check your printer settings. We will begin assembly today with our short sleeves. You can see here on our print guide that the short sleeves are page 35 and 43 through 45. So I'm going to grab my first page, page 35, and take a closer look at it here. You can see in the center of the paper, the number 35 is printed. And you can see here on the tiled print guide, the number 35 is a shaded square. You can see all of the pages that surround number 35 in the assembly process. You can see that page 34, I can see that page 44 goes below page 35 from my tile guide. So I grab that page now and I overlap it over page 35, overlapping the lines so that one line is above the other and the plus sign at the corner is overlapping the plus sign below it. I tape to affix. We'll take a closer look at exactly how to overlap your pages correctly before you affix with tape. The plus sign that you see here will be overlapping the black plus sign that you see there. You will fully overlap the pages so that the plus sign on the bottom is directly below the plus sign on the top, and the black lines are atop one another all the way down. I tape to affix, and then I find the next page. The next page is page 43, and I can see that it is placed on the left side of page 44. I can also see confirmation that these two pages are correct because the pattern itself has corresponding lines that line up correctly, giving me visual confirmation. I again overlap the plus signs, slide it down until they're just on top of one another, and tape to affix. I always tape along the lines of the pattern so that when I cut, the pattern doesn't fall apart. And now the final page that I printed for my short sleeve, I can see is page 45, which on my tile guide, I can see goes to the right of page 44. When I place it on the right, I can see that the pattern lines line up, confirming that it is correct. Overlap your plus signs and your lines, and tape to affix. So now you can see the short sleeve pattern forming. You can see the sleeve cap, the side seams, and the hemline here. If you wished to make a longer sleeve version, then you could see that below page 43 would come page 51, and below page 44 would be 52, and below 45 would be 53, and so on, and you could assemble the rest of the long sleeve. We will now move on to the bodice of our pattern. We began by printing pages 1 through 4, 11 through 12, 21 and 22, and we will look at those pages now and see how they go together. So I have here page 1. I see that it says page 1 printed in the center of the page, and that the tile on the tile guide, number 1, is darkened. I see that page 2 on the tile guide goes to the right of page 1, and page 3 to the right of that, and then page 4. When I look at the pattern on pages 3 and 4, I can clearly see that those are the neck bands, and that they are not part of the bodice, and I lay those aside. I will be focusing now on page 1 and page 2. I can see page 1 here in the tile guide, and I can see that page 11 goes below page 1, and page 12 goes below page 2. So I lay those out now and make a visual confirmation that the pattern lines do line up. And I can go ahead and begin assembling these 4 pages with confidence. As you begin to recognize the shape of the bodice, you can see here the fold line. This red line will be cut out when you cut out your bodice and placed along the fold. you can see two neckline options, and those are labeled. You can see the shoulder of the two sizes we have printed, the arm side and the side seam. We will now move on and look at our tile guide and see which two pages go below 11 and 12. We see that those are 21 and 22. You can see them clearly here on the tile guide. And those are the next pages that I printed, so I get them now, 21 and 22, and see that the pattern lines do line up. So I can begin assembling those below 11 and 12. Now next I want to show you what will happen if you run into an error where your lines don't match up perfectly on your pattern. You can see here up close that these two lines are slightly off and that they should be lined up with one another. It just simply means my page is slightly misaligned. So I simply pull the tape back off. You can use scissors if you need to help you remove the page, and simply readjust and reaffix the page so that the lines match up. It is important to check your pattern throughout assembly to ensure that you are assembling it with the lines correctly matched up. Simply reaffix your page, and now the lines correspond well. Here you can see the curve beginning to form on the hemline, and that pages 31 and 32 below these two pages will finish the bottom of our hemline for our top length. I will now go back and get the pages 3 and 4 that I laid aside that contain the neckbands. But let's say for a minute that you have a page and you don't know what page corresponds to it. You can look into the center of the page and see the number that is printed. This page says number 3. You can find number 3 on the tile guide. You can see that number 4 goes to the right and number 13 goes below it, and you can know what corresponding pages will assemble along with this page. So I simply find page 4 with the 4 printed in the center, and it does correspond to the right of the pattern in the assembly. I hope that these tips were helpful for you as you delve into the world of downloading, printing, and assembling digital PDF patterns. I can't wait to see what you make.